Pastikan Anda
Like
tekan
the
tombol
angel
like dan
asked, what
subscribe,
are the
aktifkan
signs of the
loncengnya.
last day? And he gave two. He said that the naked, barefooted shepherds will compete with each other in the construction of tall buildings. And we explained that already. That this is already happening now, right now, as we are talking. It is already happening in the world today. And the naked, barefooted shepherds are already competing with each other in the construction of high-rise buildings. But the second sign, what was the second sign? He said, and Talidal Amatu Rabbataha, that a slave woman will give birth to her Rabbataha, her mistress. Her mistress will be her master. So what is the ta'wil, the interpretation of this sign? The first sign was muhkam, plain and clear. You don't need any ta'wil or interpretation for it. That the naked, barefooted shepherds would be constructing high-rise buildings. This is no need for interpretation. But Akhir Zaman is filled with both of them. There are signs which are plain and clear, and everyone can see them and understand them, that women would dress and yet be naked. This is plain and clear. You don't even need a pair of spectacles to be able to see it. But Akhir Zaman will also have other signs. And those other signs are mutashabihat. And you have to interpret them. And that is where you need internal, intuitive, spiritual insight to be able to worship Allah as though you are seeing Him with the eyes of the heart. Iqbal spent the first 2 chapters of his book, The Reconstruction of Religious Thought in Islam, which is a book very, very, very few people can read and understand. That's why everybody prefers Iqbal's poetry, because they cannot understand his book. It's beyond their capacity to understand. The overwhelming majority cannot understand these 2 chapters of this book, in which he defends internal, intuitive, spiritual insight, religious experience. He defends it as a valid source of knowledge. That's what he did in the first 2 chapters of that book. And the second sign, that a slave woman will give birth to her mistress, cannot be explained by the first methodology of a literal explanation. The second sign has to be explained through insight, through interpretation, through ta'wil. And therefore these 2 signs combined give us a magnificent introduction to methodology for study of Akhir Zaman. Let me repeat that. These 2 signs given by the Prophet ﷺ in response to the question posed by the angel Gabriel ﷺ, these 2 signs deliver a magnificent insight into methodology for study of the world in Akhir Zaman. Study of money, what's happening in the world of money. And it is because they have failed to even recognize this methodology, much less to apply it, that the Darul Uloom has failed us in this age. Don't be annoyed with me for speaking the truth. When everybody else can recognize what I am speaking to be the truth, why should you be so annoyed with me? If it is the truth, you cannot resist it. If it is the truth, you cannot refute it. If it is the truth, it will survive regardless of all the objections you make, it will survive if it is the truth. And this is indeed the truth, as bitter as it may be in your mouth. This is the truth, that the Darul Uloom has failed us in this age. This does not mean that we don't have people with sincerity in the Darul Uloom. We don't have people with dedication in the Darul Uloom. We don't have people with faith. Of course we do. We have sincerity. We have dedication. We have faith. We have all of these things. But we do not have people who think. No. If they were thinking and they were using right methodology, and here is the methodology in this question at the end of the 5 questions. Here is the methodology for studying in Akhir Zaman. A slave woman will give birth to her mistress. You need 2 things connected with Dajjal. 2, to be able to recognize this. The first one, you see Dajjal getting people to squander resources. You're getting people to try to establish their profile higher and higher and higher using money. Other people use other means to build their profile. Some of them even keep on attacking Imran Hosein so that their profile could go higher and higher. This is the first sign. But the second sign, also connected with Dajjal, is first of all riba. That because of riba, you have a new slavery coming into the world. Do I have to explain the subject? Do I have to spend the next half an hour or 1 hour teaching what I have been teaching for 25 years now? Please. Why, if you were sleeping, I should not have to be doubling up my work because you were sleeping. Go study this subject. Because of riba, the economy is one in which, around the world today, wealth no longer circulates through the economy. From the day Pakistan was born, the Islamic Republic, of course, I don't know what's an Islamic Republic. No, I'm sorry, I don't know what's an Islamic. You have to get somebody much, much more learned than me to explain to me what is an Islamic Republic. I've attended 5 universities in my life. I'm 80 years of age. I've devoted all my life to the pursuit of knowledge, and in particular the pursuit of knowledge of the Quran. And I tell you, I confess, I don't know what's an Islamic Republic. I don't know where the term came from, and I don't know where the term is going. Okay? I know what is a Khilafah state. That's right, because that's in the Quran. Ya Dawood, ba'alawuz billahi minash shaitanir rajim. Ya Dawood, inna ja'alnaka khalifatan fil ard, fahkum bayna an-nasi bil haqq. I know what is a Khilafah state, and I know how it functions. And Pakistan is not a Khilafah state. Iran is not a Khilafah state. Malaysia is not a Khilafah state. I don't know that any one of them ever claims to be a Khilafah state. But there are many schoolboys, or we are filled with schoolboys today, who defend, no. Pakistan is an Islamic state. Okay, sir. I don't know what's an Islamic state. Oh yes, it's so funny. And so, in Akhir Zaman, riba will come. The Prophet said that there will be kathratul riba. Riba will prevail around the world to such an extent, he said, that you will not find a single person in all of mankind who will not be consuming riba. And whoever claims he is not consuming riba, verily the dust of riba will be upon him. The vapor of riba will reach him. Because of riba, the economy is such that wealth no longer circulates through the economy. And so the rich remain permanently rich forever and ever and ever, and the poor remain imprisoned in permanent poverty forever and ever and ever. And that is oppression. And it is the characteristic of truth, the true religion. The true religion, Islam, has zero tolerance for oppression. I said to you that Pakistan, from the day it was born to this day, has had this economy, where wealth no longer circulates through the economy. And so every government in Pakistan has failed, everyone. In Iran, the situation is no different. Despite an Islamic revolution 30-something years ago, the economy of Iran is still riddled with riba. Where in the world can you find an economy in which wealth circulates through the economy? Answer, nowhere. So what my critics will reply, well then, when it's not possible anywhere in the world, why do you raise the subject? Yeah, that's the kind of people I have criticizing me. So let's forget the critics and let's move on. We say that when you have a situation like this, you analyze it and speak the truth. Because of riba, in the banking system, you have an economy which no longer circulates. The rich remain permanently rich. And Allah has condemned that in the Quran. He's given laws for wealth to be broken up and for wealth to be distributed. Why? He says, كَيْ لَا يَكُونَ الدُّولَةَ بَيْنَ الْأَغْنِيَاءِ مِنْكُمْ. Let me repeat that. Are you listening? كَيْ لَا يَكُونَ الدُّولَةَ بَيْنَ الْأَغْنِيَاءِ مِنْكُمْ. Let me repeat it a third time. Because we have people, it enters this air and it comes out that air. And they then busy themselves, how can I criticize Imran Hosein? كَيْ لَا يَكُونَ الدُّولَةَ بَيْنَ الْأَغْنِيَاءِ مِنْكُمْ. That wealth should not circulate only amongst the wealthy. Then there is another form of riba, which rips you off. The form of riba which is in the monetary system. And as it rips you off, the rich keep on getting richer, and the poor descending into slavery. And please don't ask me to spend another half an hour teaching you international monetary economics. It was not because of any arrogance on my part, no, that I challenged my professor at the Graduate Institute of Institute of International Studies in Geneva, my professor of international economics. It was not because of any arrogance on my part. No, it is because I had the capacity, Allah blessed me with the capacity to see and understand that their economics was bogus. Their international economics and their monetary economics was bogus. And you're going to criticize me because I challenged them? Have you no shame? Ah, yes. Ah, yes. Criticizing me because I challenged them for their bogus economic system and monetary system that was being taught to me at the Graduate Institute of International Studies. I challenged them at that time. I was only 32 years of age at that time, yes. Still green, like the green fig, but still I could recognize it. And so you are moving towards slavery as the monetary system evolves to finally tie the rope around your neck. And so this woman is a part of that Jamaat, which is in the hold, the bottom of the ship, traveling third class in miserable poverty. That's right. Millions are like that today around the world. Millions. Oppression will reach such a state, this oppression in particular, that the Prophet said that a man will pass by a grave and he would roll on the grave and he said, I wish I were in the grave rather than the dead man, not for any religious reasons, but because of biting oppression. And so this woman is in that state. That is why she's called a slave woman. She's drinking water which is filthy. It's not bottled water. She's eating third-class food. There's pollution all around her. She's living in miserable poverty. But she's still a woman. She can still have babies. She has not been affected and deceived and captivated by Dajjal's feminist revolution. The feminist revolution is there in the prophecies that women would dress like men. Why would a woman want to dress like a man? Go to the bank. See how the women dress in the bank. They all dress like men. This is business clothes. The business clothes has to be masculine. The party clothes can be feminine. But the business clothes has to be a masculine cut, a jacket and a trousers. And in Indonesia, you'll even see them wear a tie. Like I saw the former Prime Minister of Trinidad and Tobago, who was a woman. I saw her, a photograph in the newspapers with a jacket, trousers, and a tie. So here you are. Here is it, Dajjal's feminist revolution. That women would dress like men. Why? Because they want to assume the functional role of men in society. That is why they want to dress like men. There are going to be women who are going to be angry with me. But never mind, it's just because they don't understand as yet. So they can call me names and so on, it doesn't matter really, because they do not as yet understand. But when these women do get understanding, provided that their hearts are not corrupted, provided that Dajjal is not in control of their hearts, these same women will now become a people who can understand, who can see with the light of Allah. So be patient. Be patient with them, as I am patient with them. The reason why women dress like men is because Dajjal wants them to assume the functional role of men in society. And as the woman assumes the functional role of men in society, she becomes more and more masculine in her behavior. And as a consequence of the masculinity of her behavior, her language, her dress, everything, it eventually impacts upon her biologically and physiologically. And these women, of course, because they are career women, they cannot have children early in life. So they try to postpone becoming mothers, so they can pursue their career uninterrupted by children. But when they do want to have a child, it's too late. It's too late. And if they cannot have a child, the husband will want another wife. So what to do? It is at that time that they step down from first class. They're traveling first class, of course. These women who are career women, they're wealthy. They're rich, they're not in poverty. So they climb down from first class and they go down in the hole of the ship to find a poor, miserably poor slave woman. And they make an agreement with her. And then she has to go to a clinic. And the sperm of the husband is then injected into her and she becomes pregnant. It's called surrogate parenting. And when she becomes pregnant, she can't live down there in the hole of the ship anymore. She has to come up where the air is clean. And she has to drink, excuse me, bottled water. and she has to go eat good food. Why? Answer, because it's a first-class baby inside there. She might be a slave, but it's a first-class baby inside there. And when the baby is born, she's paid for her services. And because in Akhir Zaman, more women are going to be born than men, this baby grows up to rule the world. Democracy is one person, one vote. And when you have far more women than men, what's going to happen? More and more will women take over to rule the world. Allah did not create women for that. He said, وَجَعَلْنَا اللَّيْلَ لِبَاسًا وَجَعَلْنَا النَّهَارَ مَعَاشًا. Women are not to involve themselves in worldly affairs. Women are to fulfill their primary function as wives and as mothers in the home. And when a mother is not full-time in the home, your child can become a criminal. That's what we have today in Trinidad. We have a generation growing up of criminals with no manners at all. They drive on the road as though they are pigs and hogs. That's how they drive. No manners at all. Where did these people come from? They came from broken homes. They came from homes where mommy was not there. There was no full-time mother. I know there are going to be women who are going to challenge me. Never mind, we show patience with them. We show patience with them. And so the slave woman will eventually give birth to the baby. The baby, of course, will remain in first class. But mama will go back down to the slave, to be the slave at the whole of the ship. And so the mother in third class and the baby in first class, and that's how a slave woman will give birth to her